Before Harry Styles and the normalization of feminine men, there was Prince, a legendary pop star that defied all expectations and redefined what it meant to be a man. During the counterculture movement in the 1970s, the youth of the time began to defy gender expectations, as many glamorous pop stars dominated the world, leaving a glittery trail of success behind. This would eventually fuel the show-stopping musical figures of the 80s, but instead of straight white men posing as gay or bi, the charts became dominated by actual gay and women artists. The music industry was changing, and the public had a lot to say about it, particularly about a certain gender-bending enigma, Prince. Equipped with high heels, heavy makeup, and revealing clothing, Prince took down the racist stereotypes held against black men and looked good while doing it. He was not afraid to fail. No matter the amount of criticism thrown at him, he pushed through it all and became the legend we celebrate today. This is how Prince redefined masculinity.
I almost think that we were taught race. It wasn't something that we're just born with. We all look different. We are all varied in our complexions and sizes, and all that's wonderful. That's good, But when we are put in boxes, I've always railed against that. So this isn't a new topic for me.
Before I get into this, I just wanted to say thank you to all the new people subscribing to my channel recently. Also, only a small amount of my viewers are actually subscribed, so if you like what I do, be sure to check it out. And join me on my road to 600 subscribers. This is a bit of a passion project for me, so I do hope you enjoyed this bit of an essay I wrote sporadically after listening to Purple Rain for 2 hours straight. Okay, bye. Since it's been 5 years without him here, I wanted to pay tribute to one of my favorite artists of all time by noting his contributions to not only the music industry, but society as a whole. Born Prince Rogers Nelson, the singer grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Due to both of his parents being musicians, he developed a keen interest in music. Having to work twice as hard as a white man, Prince had to push through all the rainy days if he wanted to succeed. His humble origins and unparalleled work ethic are what made him the legend we love and remember today. At the beginning of his breakthrough, in 1983, James Brown invited Prince up on stage during a show right after Michael Jackson performed. Seizing the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Prince went on stage. He sang into the mic, taking his shirt off and showcasing his exuberant dance moves. However, this moment of glory did not take long before the crowd started booing. And as he was exiting the stage, he fell into the audience, bringing the lamppost prop he leaned on with him. This embarrassing moment did not stop Prince, though. A year later, people were cheering his name instead. Purple Rain dominated the charts, and Prince rose to equal footing with Michael Jackson. Though the 80s was defined by shining rock stars and glittery faces, Prince's hypersexual and eccentric fashion style was still a topic of controversy. Reaganites and Rolling Stone fans alike criticized the way he presented himself on stage. Despite this, Prince continued to ascend into the spotlight. A lot of the public, especially suburban households, wanted an uncontroversial rock star, and Michael Jackson fulfilled that role, even accepting the Presidential Public Safety Communication Award from Ronald Reagan, despite his contributions to the war on drugs. This was due to Jackson allowing Reagan to use the song Beat It to be a public service campaign against teen drinking and driving. They were both hardworking individuals and made phenomenal contributions to the music industry and revolutionized music for people of color. However, in terms of image and self-expression, Prince stands out the most. Prince cared about being himself rather than appealing to the masses, contrasting Michael Jackson's PG image. Michael grew up with stardom being his future, while Prince's success was not guaranteed. And these two separate upbringings put them apart and unfortunately against each other. Prince was also heavily against his image being used for commercial purposes like cereal, makeup lines, etc. Daring to wear clothing most men don't even think about trying today, Prince started the conversation about dismantling the stereotypical way men and women present themselves. He pushed the boundaries of how people should dress and was living proof that fashion truly has no gender. At the time of his debut, Prince had already redefined 80s glam rock. Many people mocked him for his choice of fashion, but he was still able to make millions of women swoon with just his pure talent and charisma. This could be tied back to the discussion of what really is the female gaze. Many men believe that what they personally think is attractive is what women want in a man. Though it varies from woman to woman, most of them don't want a man with a perfect square jaw or hard rock abs. They want someone who is confident in their sexuality and in tune with their emotions. I will post studies in the description for this, but I am also using myself as a source because I am a woman who is attracted to men. I've been talking about how Prince broke the standards of masculinity, but what does that really mean? Despite what conservatives say about bringing masculinity back, the definition of masculinity is constantly changing. In the colonial era, men regularly wore tights and light makeup, especially in Europe. Flamboyant and gender-fluid fashion clothes have always been normalized, just for the rich, especially in the 17th and 18th centuries. However, for the middle class, fashion has always been more defined by strict gender rules. They couldn't afford the bright and flamboyant colors that we consider to be gender-bending. The Founding Fathers wore tight shorts, long socks, bright coats, and wigs, something many conservatives would definitely make fun of a man for wearing in a different style. Most people think of classic business suits and having a strong physique as a form of masculinity, but it goes so much deeper than just physical appearance. Toxic masculinity is a concept that is deeply ingrained in our society and not only hurts men, but women as a result of their lack of treatment. Men are sometimes just as emotional as women, but are often discouraged from properly showing their feelings. Prince didn't pretend to be something he wasn't, something men should take note of today. Masculinity is whatever you want it to be, and no one should ever make you feel less of a man just for being human. Prince not only reimagined what fashion looks like in a non-gendered world, he also allowed men to be free of the restraints of toxic masculinity. He didn't need to put on a fake manly facade for him to be successful. He may have only been 5'2", but his stage presence made up for all the lack of height Prince had. Not only did his fashion knock down false preconceptions of manhood, his passionate and sentimental lyrics showed the power of freely expressing yourself. His band, The Revolution, which included men and women, also contributed to the gender-bending fashion Prince represented on stage. The entire band paid tribute to the romantic androgynous fashion of Europe. Though Prince was at the forefront, the Revolution helped change past and present preconceptions of masculinity and femininity. Many popular artists today credit him to be the inspiration behind their music and stage performances. During Harry Styles' Vogue shoot, he talked about Prince being one of his inspirations, saying, "The people I looked up to," no, I'm just gonna do my normal voice. The people that I looked up to in music, Prince and David Bowie and Elvis and Freddie Mercury and Elton John, they're such showmen. As a kid, it was completely mind-blowing. Now I'll put on something that feels really flamboyant and I don't feel crazy wearing it. Though it's important to acknowledge the cis white men who are making fashion headlines today, we cannot forget the people of color who set the standard for genderless clothing. Without Prince, Freddie Mercury, or Billy Porter, there would be no movement at all. Though I do believe Harry Styles and Timothee Chalamet should not be praised for something LGBT and POC artists have done first, the continued normalization of feminine men will in turn inspire the next generations and allow them to truly be themselves. Prince was the antithesis to the ultra-conservative values that plagued Ronald Reagan-era America. He never sold out his image to fit the standards of scared white people. He started the conversation, and now it's up to us to finish it. That's all I have to say about this wonderful artist. Though I understand there have been so many men who redefine masculinity in music and film, I wanted to pay tribute to Prince in particular, not only because he's one of my favorite musicians, but he's often overlooked as a major influence in breaking down gender norms, especially for men. So, how did Prince redefine masculinity? Well, he simply just did it. He didn't let society dictate what he could and couldn't do. He wore whatever the hell he wanted on stage and never stopped. That perseverance is what allowed us to even begin the conversation about dismantling fashion stereotypes. Although it's fine to celebrate Harry Styles for wearing a dress, the reason why he felt comfortable wearing it was because the men and women before him risked their image and success in order to be their authentic selves. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a wonderful day.